News mornings at 7 a.m. starts right now.
A very happy Saturday to you. Let's get this party started. It is a foggy start to your weekend, but it's going to burn off, and we are in store for a very nice day today. Good morning. I'm Lauren Scafidi. Let's send things on over to Weather Impact meteorologist Carly Cassidy, who's tracking this fog. It's not going to last all day, just a couple hours.
I know. We just have to be a little patient. I think a lot of people wanting to, waking up to the sunshine, but not just yet for a good portion of us. We will get there, I promise. We still have the cloud cover, but you can see little sliver of that sun and it trying to break on through. So just a little bit longer left of the system, really from Thursday. Yesterday, of course, awfully cloudy, gloomy, have the mist, all of that activity. We will start to move things out. But we have that dense fog advisory until 10 o'clock for this morning, even though Denver not underneath that advisory. Technically, of course, from the cameras, if you're stepping outside, here's that reduced visibility down to 1 mile, even half a mile, less than that in Aurora. So have to be careful as you are headed out. Just give yourself a little extra time, a little extra space, and then this will start to move on out. Otherwise, not really any actual activity on radar, but yes, we still have the cloud cover. What's left of this system may find a little mist, little drizzle here and there as we continue to move things out, but otherwise for most and really showing here, we are on the dry side and we will clear things out here in the next couple hours. By lunchtime, we are back to sunshine. Keep that around into the afternoon. This morning, if you're headed out, still grab an extra layer, but it is fairly mild, 30s and 40s for a good portion, even 50 in Grand Junction. And then as we go into this afternoon with the sunshine, 60s, 70s for most, not a bad afternoon and much warmer compared to how we were yesterday. And we will continue on this warming trend as we go throughout the weekend, but we do have a couple things here. We got the fire weather activity for tomorrow, and then we also keep that isolated storm chance around, so we'll talk all about your details coming up with my full forecast.
We are taking a live look over the Vatican this morning after tens of thousands of people gathered in St. Peter's Square to mourn Pope Francis. The funeral itself is set to end in just an hour now. Attendees waited in silence for the service to begin, breaking out in applause as the famously humble Pope's modest coffin was brought out in procession from St. Peter's Basilica. The Pope's funeral, held on the steps of the Basilica, was attended by more than 50 world leaders and 11 reigning monarchs. Roughly 200,000 people also gathered for the service in St. Peter's Square. Authorities prepared for 1 million more to line the procession route from the Vatican City through Rome to the Pope's final resting place. And amongst those in attendance were American leaders past and present. President Donald Trump and former President Joe Biden came together for the first time since January's inauguration. On the sidelines, the president used this time to speak with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, a letter then describing it as a good meeting between the two leaders. Pope Francis leaves behind a legacy of compassion and leadership. He was the first Jesuit pope, the first Latin American pope, and the first from the Americas. As leader of the Catholic Church, he advocated heavily for immigrants, refugees, and the poor, and he showed a lighter touch than previous popes on social issues like gay marriage. Following today's funeral, the search for his successor will begin in the next few weeks. Back here in Colorado, the state is now reporting its 5th case of the measles this year. Now, this is the first in a vaccinated person. Yesterday, state health officials confirmed an adult in Denver County tested positive. They're warning people may have been exposed if they were at the Kaiser Lakewood Urgent Care last Saturday from 10:30 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. State health officials couldn't say how long ago this person completed their vaccination series, but told us they're doing well. They say breakthrough cases are rare. Listen to this, about 3 of every 100 cases is in someone who's been vaccinated. Health experts say their symptoms are usually milder and less likely to spread to others. They also tell us this person recently traveled to a part of Mexico that's experiencing an outbreak. That was the case for 2 other people who tested positive for measles in Colorado. But at this point, state health officials are not putting out any travel warnings.
At this point, I think vaccinated people are going to go to Chihuahua. It's hard for me to say they shouldn't, but knowing where there are community spread of cases is helpful in trying to make decisions about how to best protect yourself.
5 cases are in Denver County. The other 2 are in Pueblo and Archuleta County. On Friday, a jury convicted Joseph Koenig of first-degree murder for throwing the rock that killed Alexa Bartell. Koenig was one of 3 people driving around Jefferson County and throwing rocks at drivers in 2023. One of those rocks killed Alexa Bartell, who was 20 years old. After a 2-week trial, jurors found Koenig guilty of first-degree murder and more than a dozen other charges.
This has been obviously hardest 2 years ever, and we got justice today. And I don't know how to feel about it. I'm happy it doesn't bring Alexa back. And that's horrible, but we don't ever want this to happen again to anybody else. And that's been our main goal, to make sure justice is served.
Koenig is set to be sentenced on June 3rd. We already know the first-degree murder conviction carries an automatic life sentence without the possibility of parole. Denver police investigating the disappearance of a transgender woman. She's been missing for nearly 2 weeks. 34-year-old Jack Scruton was last seen April 15th, leaving her southeast Denver apartment near East Iliff Avenue and South Colorado Boulevard. The well-known hairstylist left behind her medication and her cat. Jack's mother filed a missing person report this week. Flyers have since gone up around town trying to help find her.
Even though this is very scary and it's a horrible thing for anybody to have to go through, it is so amazing how many people have stepped up and have, formed this huge community behind her right now.
Friends say they will continue to canvass around the city this weekend. Anyone with information is urged to call Denver police. Union Station hasn't had the best reputation, but RTD hopes that's changing. They say a couple years of focused reports on crime prevention have paid off. 9 News reporter Ria Jha looks at the before and after.
For years, Union Station had a reputation for open drug use, homeless encampments, and dangerous conditions right here on the platforms. RTD workers called for change, and now new numbers show that their strategy worked. In 2022, RTD launched a major effort to reclaim Union Station, starting with increasing police staffing from fewer than 20 officers to nearly 100 officers today. They also filled a major overnight gap, adding 24/7 coverage to tackle crime during the early morning hours. The strategy worked, and calls for help have dropped nearly 60% since 2022. Workers and commuters say Union Station now feels dramatically safer.
Just a visual presence, like I said, just deters a lot of the unwanted behavior. Folks feel comfortable, they feel safe. And those that are the doers don't feel comfortable, so we're moving them along and moving them away from our alignment.
RTD now has 100 certified officers, but they're actively recruiting and hoping to get to 150 officers by the end of the year. Reporting in Union Station, Ria Jha, 9 News.
The Trump administration is restoring the legal status of international students who had their records terminated in recent weeks. Many of them sued before the Trump administration backed down. More than 1,200 students nationwide suddenly lost their legal status or had visas revoked, leaving them at risk for deportation. Many said they had only minor infractions on their record or did not know why they were targeted. Attorney Zach New believes the Trump administration's goal was for these international students to leave the U.S. on their own. The 8 students he represents stayed put. He says that's not the case for many others.
I would say that the vast majority of people who were impacted by this policy did self-deport.
Not clear how many student visa holders have left the country since learning of a change to their status.